Most people think cars die young because they're just not built like they used to be. But that's not the full story. The truth is, there are drivers out there, quiet, unnoticed, who've taken their cars past 500,000 miles. No engine swaps, no major breakdowns, just consistent boring habits that most of us ignore. In this video, we're going to uncover 10 of those habits. They're not flashy, they won't make you feel like a race car driver, but they will make your car last longer than most people keep their jobs, relationships, or even homes. Let's dive in. Habit number 1, the oil change. That's actually about timing, not just mileage. We've all heard it, see, change your oil every 3,000 miles. Then someone else says 5,000. Then your car manual says 10,000. So, who's right? Here's the truth. It's not just about mileage, it's about how you drive. If you do short trips, like school runs, grocery stops, or daily commutes under 10 minutes, your engine doesn't get hot enough to burn off moisture and fuel residue. That means your oil gets dirty faster, even if you haven't driven far. On the flip side, highway driving at steady speeds is easier on oil. So, someone doing long-distance drives might safely stretch their oil change interval. But here's the habit that separates 500k mile drivers from the rest. They don't guess. They change their oil based on usage, not just mileage. Many even send their oil for lab testing, yes, that's a thing, to see how it's holding up. And they always use high-quality oil and filters, not the cheapest stuff on sale. Because oil isn't just lubrication, it's the lifeblood of your engine. Habit number 2, letting the engine warm up, but not the ways. You think you've probably seen someone start their car and let it idle for 10 minutes before driving. They think they're warming up the engine, but modern engines don't need that. In fact, idling too long in cold weather can cause fuel to mix with oil, which wears out your engine faster. So, what do high mileage drivers do? They start the car, wait about 30 seconds, and then drive gently. No hard acceleration, no high R. PMS. Just smooth, easy driving for the first few minutes. This warms up the engine, transmission, and other components under load, which is how they're designed to operate. It also helps oil circulate properly and reach all the moving parts. It's boring, it's slow, but it's one of the most protective things you can do for your engine. Habit number 3, transmission fluid. The most ignored lifesaver. Ask most drivers when they last changed their transmission fluid, and you'll get a blank stare. Some don't even know it needs changing. But transmission fluid breaks down over time, especially in automatic cars. It gets hot, picks up debris, and loses its ability to protect gears and clutches, and here's the kicker. Once a transmission starts slipping or jerking, it's often too late. Repairs can cost thousands. High mileage drivers treat transmission fluid like engine oil. They change it regularly, every 30,000 to 60,000 miles, depending on the car and driving style. They also use the exact fluid type recommended by the manufacturer. No substitutes, no shortcuts. Some even install transmission fluid coolers to keep temperatures down, especially if they tow or drive in hot climates. It's not exciting. It's not something you'll brag about. But it's the difference between a transmission that dies at 120,000 and one that lasts past 500,000. Habit number 4, cleaning the undercarriage. Yes, even if you don't live in snow. This one sounds ridiculous. Why clean the bottom of your car? You don't even see it. But here's the deal. The undercarriage is where rust starts, and rust doesn't just eat metal. It destroys brake lines, fuel lines, suspension parts, and even the frame. If you live in snowy areas, road salt is the enemy. But even in dry climates, dirt, moisture, and road grime can trap corrosive materials. High mileage drivers wash their undercarriage regularly. Some do it every oil change. others after heavy rain or off-road trips. And they don't just rely on automatic car washes. They use pressure washers or go to detailers who specialize in rust prevention. Some even apply protective coatings like fluid film or rubberized sprays to keep moisture out. It's boring, it's messy, but it's how you keep your car from rotting underneath while the engine still runs like new. Habit number 5. Listening to the car, not just the dashboard. Modern cars have warning lights for everything. But by the time a light comes on, the problem might already be serious. High mileage drivers don't wait for lights. They listen. They notice when the engine sounds different, when the steering feels looser, when the brakes squeak, when fuel economy drops, when the car pulls slightly to one side. They treat these signs like whispers from the car, not annoyances, not background noise. And they act early. They fix small problems before they become big ones. They don't ignore that tiny oil leak or that occasional misfire, because they know that every part of the car is connected and neglect spreads fast. This habit isn't technical, it's emotional. It's about building a relationship with your car, knowing its rhythms, respecting its signals, and it's one of the most powerful habits you can develop. Habit number 6, tire pressure, the silent killer of suspension and fuel economy. Most people only think about tire pressure when the dashboard light comes on. But by then you've already lost fuel efficiency, increased tire wear, and here's the part most people miss, put extra strain on your suspension. Underinflated tires flex more, which means your shocks and struts have to work harder to keep the car stable. Over time, that extra movement wears out bushings, ball joints, and even wheel bearings. High mileage drivers check their tire pressure monthly. Not just when it's cold, not just before road trips, every month. They use a reliable gauge, not just the gas station pump, and they adjust for seasonal changes because cold air shrinks tire pressure and hot weather expands it. They also rotate their tires every 5,000 to 7,000 miles. It's boring, it's easy to forget, but it keeps wear even, which protects your alignment and handling. And here's the kicker, proper tire care doesn't just save your tires, it protects the entire system that keeps your car driving straight and smooth. Habit number 7, using the parking brake. Even on flat ground, this one surprises people. Most drivers think the parking brake is only for hills, but that's not true, especially in automatic cars. When you park without using the brake, all the weight of the car rests on a tiny part inside the transmission called the parking pawl. Over time, that stress can wear it down or even break it, especially if you park on a slope. High mileage drivers use the parking brake every time they park. Flat ground, sloped driveway, doesn't matter. It takes 2 seconds and it offloads stress from the transmission. It also keeps the brake system healthy. Parking brakes can seize up if they're never used, especially in older cars or humid climates. Regular use keeps the cables and mechanisms moving freely. It's one of those habits that feels unnecessary, until the day your car rolls unexpectedly or your transmission starts clunking into park. Habit number 8, avoiding short trips or handling them smartly. Short trips are brutal on engines. When you start a cold engine and drive just a few minutes, the oil doesn't fully circulate. Moisture builds up. Fuel doesn't burn cleanly, and the catalytic converter doesn't reach operating temperature. Over time, this leads to carbon buildup, sludge, and poor fuel economy. High mileage drivers either avoid short trips or they batch them. Instead of 3 separate errands, they combine them into one longer drive. That gives the engine time to warm up and burn off contaminants. And if they have to do short trips, they make sure the car gets a longer drive at least once a week. A good 20-minute highway run clears out the system and keeps everything functioning properly. It's not glamorous, it's not something you'll see in car commercials, but it's one of the most protective habits for engine longevity. Habit number 9, replacing coolant you feed. before it becomes a problem. Coolant isn't just about keeping the engine from overheating. It also prevents corrosion inside the radiator, water pump, and heater core. But coolant breaks down over time. It loses its ability to protect metal surfaces, and when that happens, rust starts forming inside the cooling system. Silently, invisibly, eventually, that rust clogs passages, damages seals, and causes overheating. And overheating is one of the fastest ways to kill an engine. High mileage drivers flush their coolant every 2 to 5 years depending on the type. They don't just top it off, they replace it completely, and they use the exact type recommended by the manufacturer. Mixing coolants can cause chemical reactions that reduce effectiveness. They also check hoses for softness, cracks, or bulges, because a $10 hose failure can lead to a $3,000 engine replacement if it bursts on the highway. It's maintenance that feels optional until it's not. Habit number 10, keeping the battery and charging system in check. Batteries don't just die, they take other parts with them. A weak battery forces the alternator to work harder. That extra load can wear out the alternator prematurely. And if the voltage gets unstable, it can mess with sensors, computers, and even transmission behavior. High mileage drivers test their battery every year, not just when it struggles to start. They check voltage, cold cranking amps, and charging performance. They also clean the terminals regularly. Corrosion on battery posts can cause poor connections, electrical glitches, and even no start conditions. And they replace the battery before it fails, usually every 4 to 5 years, because waiting until it dies often means getting stranded or damaging other components. It's a small habit, but it protects the entire electrical system. Let's be honest, none of these habits will go viral on TikTok. They won't make you feel like a car expert. They won't impress your friends, but they will make your car last. And in a world where planned obsolescence is the norm, that's a quiet rebellion. Because every mile past 100K, 200K, 300K is a statement that care still matters, that boring still works, that you don't need a new car every few years to feel secure. You just need habits, the kind that don't shout, the kind that don't sell, the kind that quietly builds something that lasts. So, go ahead. Be the boring driver. Be the one who checks tire pressure, warms up gently, and changes fluids before they fail. Because boring isn't weak. It's wise. And it's how you build a car and a life that goes the distance. If this video helped you rethink how you care for your car, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this kind of content matters. And if you want more deep dives into the habits that protect your car, your wallet, and your peace of mind, subscribe and turn on notifications. We're building a community of drivers who believe in connection over convenience and care over chaos. Got a habit that's helped your car go the distance? Drop it in the comments. Your story might be the one that helps someone else avoid a breakdown, or even hit 500,000 miles.